Greg Peck finally says something about Robert Mitchum. The baby's name is Gregory Peck. Gregory Peck was born in La Jolla, California on April 5, 1916. His childhood wasn't always good. He was only a little boy when his parents split up, and his grandmother raised him for the most part. Even with these early problems, Peck stood out from a young age because of his height, presence, and quiet dignity. He first went to San Diego State College and then transferred to the University of California, Berkeley. It was there that he became very interested in acting. Here, Peck found the craft that would change the course of his life, and he quickly made up his mind to follow it with all his heart. Peck began his career on the stage in the 1940s. His hard work and natural talent quickly got him to Broadway. Hollywood saw how good he was on stage and hired him for their first movie, Days of Glory, 1944. People were struck right away by how sincere he was, how he could play characters with warmth and moral strength, and how striking he looked. It didn't take Peck long to become a leading man. He starred in classics like 1944's The Keys of the Kingdom, for which he was nominated for his first Academy Award, and Alfred Hitchcock's Spellbound, which came out in 1945. During the 1940s and 1950s, Peck's career took off. He was one of the biggest stars in movies at the time and was known for being able to play a lot of different roles. The movie Gentleman's Agreement 1947, which bravely dealt with anti-Semitism, nominated him for another Academy Award for his role as a troubled newspaperman. In westerns like Duel in the Sun 1946 and The Gunfighter 1950, he added weight and depth to a genre that was usually more about action than people. He was also great in romantic comedies like Roman Holiday, 1953, where he and Audrey Hepburn were one of the most beloved mouvement pairs ever. In 1962, Peck played the principled lawyer Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird, which was the most important role of his career. The movie, which was based on Harper Lee's Pulitzer Prize-winning book, showed Peck as a man with strong morals, compassion, and bravery. The Academy Award for Best Actor went to him for his quiet strength and powerful performance as Atticus Finch. Finch became a cultural icon, standing for fairness, justice, and the best of American values. People still talk about this role as one of the best in movie history decades later. During the 1960s, 1970s, and early 1980s, Peck's career stayed strong. He gave memorable performances in movies like Cape Fear, 1962, in which he played against type as a victim of Robert Mitchum's scary bad guy, The Guns of Navarone, 1961, an epic war adventure, and McKenna's Gold, 1969, a western that showed off his charm. He met a new generation of moviegoers with the scary thriller The Omen, which came out in 1976. This showed that he could adapt to changing audience tastes. People admired Gregory Peck for more than just his acting. They admired his honesty, kindness, and work for others. He spoke out about civil rights, social justice, and the right to free speech. He backed liberal causes and gave his name and time to groups that worked for equality. He also never backed down from a moral stand, even if it meant being unpopular. He won many awards for his work in the arts and in society. In 1969, he received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is one of the highest civilian honors in the U.S. Greg Peck married Finnish-American Greta Kukkonen in October 1942, when he was just starting to become famous. She was born in 1911 and died in 2008. Greta came to the United States from Finland. She was a very independent woman with great business sense. She later did work for charity and helped many people. During her life, she was very important to the Finnish-American community in Los Angeles. Peck's first family was made up of himself and Greta. They had 3 sons together. Jonathan Peck was their first child, born in 1944. Stephen came along in 1946, and Carrie Paul in 1949. All of Peck's children brought him happiness and satisfaction at a time when his career in Hollywood was also going well. Even though Gregory and Greta were married for more than 10 years, they eventually split up because they had different views that they couldn't agree on. Following years of stress, they finally got a divorce in December 1955, ending their 13-year marriage. In Peck's personal life, the divorce was a hard time, but the worst blow was when his oldest son, Jonathan, died many years later. Jonathan was found dead at home on June 26, 1975. It was determined that he had killed himself. He was only 30 years old. The terrible event left Peck with a deep sadness that he carried with him for the rest of his life. When asked to talk about the loss, Peck once said, "It's the worst thing that's ever happened to me. That kind of thing stays with you forever." His words showed the deep pain of a father who, despite his fame and success, could not protect his family from sadness. People who knew Peck said that Jonathan's death had a big effect on him and made his quiet dignity and compassion even more profound and serious. There wasn't much time between his second marriage and his first one ending. The next day, on New Year's Eve 1955, he married Veronique Pisani, a journalist from France who was born in 1932 and died in 2012. Veronique met Peck for the first time in 1952 while she was working as a reporter in Paris. She was given the job of interviewing him right before he left for Italy to film Roman Holiday, which would give him one of his most famous roles. The first time they met stuck with her, and 6 months later, Peck called to invite her to lunch. That one act started a love story that will last a lifetime. Soon, they couldn't be separated. They were drawn together by love and a shared interest in art, travel, and family life. Gregory and Veronique had 2 children together. Anthony Peck, their son, was born in 1956, and Cecilia Peck, their daughter, was born in 1958. Anthony became like his dad and did what he did. He tried to become an actor and became famous for his public marriage to supermodel Cheryl Tiegs, though they later got a divorce. Cecilia also loved the arts and became an actress, producer, and documentary filmmaker. She continued her father's work of telling thoughtful stories by doing the same. Peck's second marriage lasted longer than his first one. Gregory and Veronique were married from 1955 until he died in 2003, which is almost 50 years. Many people in Hollywood admired their relationship and said they were one of the most devoted and long-lasting in the business. Additionally, Gregory Peck loved being a grandfather and took great pleasure in seeing his family grow through the years. Because he was married twice, he had grandchildren. One of them is actor Ethan Peck, who is Stephen Peck's son. Ethan has continued his family's artistic tradition by becoming well known in TV and movies, such as for his role as Spock in the Star Trek Discovery series and its spin-off, Strange New Worlds. Along with his children and grandchildren, Peck left behind a legacy in Hollywood and in the values of honesty, kindness, and respect that he lived by all his life. People in Hollywood and fans of old movies have been guessing for years about the relationship between Gregory Peck and Robert Mitchum, 2 of the best actors of their time. In movies, both men were huge, and they showed strength, honesty, and charisma in very different ways. People often remembered Peck for how noble and respectable he was on screen. In movies like To Kill a Mockingbird, he was the ultimate moral authority. Mitchum, on the other hand, had a rough, unpredictable energy about him. He was one of the most interesting actors of the middle of the 20th century because of his cool distance and quiet menace. While their most famous movie together was Cape Fear, 1962, in which Peck played the honest lawyer and Mitchum played the scary ex-con. Fans were left wondering if the 2 men were friends, rivals, or just co-workers who went their separate ways when the cameras stopped rolling. Neither man ever talked at length about the other. Gregory Peck didn't talk about it until much later in his life, when he gave a rare look into how he felt about Robert Mitchum as a person and as an actor. Many people were surprised when Peck, who usually speaks carefully and calmly in public, said nice things about Mitchum's talent. Although his acting style was based on classical training, careful preparation, and a strong sense of right and wrong, and Mitchum's was often based on instinct, little practice, and an air of naturalism that seemed to come naturally, he had a lot of respect for Mitchum's talent. Someone once said that Mitchum could play a role in a way that didn't look like acting at all. It looked easy to him, but that's what made him smart. Coming from Peck, whose career was built on discipline and polish, it was a strong endorsement of Mitchum's unique screen presence. Peck also talked about working with Mitchum on Cape Fear, a project that required them to play characters that could